This video we're going to do a complete walkthrough of my new bona fide XTR130. Welcome to the Fishing with Gramps YouTube channel. My name is JT, and if you're looking for tips, tricks, reviews, how-tos, and a whole lot of bass fishing, hey, you've come to the right spot. That's right, I've got my setup, and pardon the wind out here. We've been plagued with tornadoes and every other storm known to man here in the last month in southern Indiana, but I'm just not gonna get a clean, quiet day to film, so here we are. Wanted to walk you guys through how I set up my bona fide XTR130 in case you're looking for different ideas from different people. One of the things I'll also be doing is soliciting videos from other kayak anglers, walking you through their kayak setups of all different makes and models in case you're hunting for a particular brand and want to see some different ideas so that you can set it up what works best for you. First, let me kick off this video with my initial impressions. This kayak is absolutely fantastic, but I'll be honest, it's not a kayak. It's a fishing kayak. It's a fishing kayak boat. This thing is absolutely incredible when it comes to stability and riggability, kind of anything that you want to do with a big kayak. If you're a bigger guy or if you're somebody who deals with bigger bodies of water, lots of wind, you like to stand and fish, you like to sight fish, you want to stand up on a front deck, all that cool stuff. If you're looking for one of the big kayaks, this is one you should take a look at. Now, honestly, you're not going to go throw this in a creek or a river. Somebody might if it's a big wide river like the Susky or something like that, but this is a big lake boat, and that's for me what I got it for. I call it my scoping boat. I've got it set up that way. I've got different kayaks for putting in creeks and rivers. This is a lake boat. I'm not even going to kid around and pretend like I'm going to throw this in the bed of a truck and try to drop it into drop it in and fish a river event. Not going to happen. If it's got a drive down ramp, we might consider, but that's not what this is about. This is about how I've got this XTR rig. Now, I've already done a first look, first impressions video of this kayak, why I bought it, and I'll link it at the end of the video, but this is about how I rigged it now for my scoping boat. So up here on the front handle, I have a Guardian Angel light that I turn on red and green for those early morning launches. It runs about 90 minutes, which is all I need for the sun to come up. I've got the bona fide plate for mounting the XI3 quick detach. I just pull that release and the motor comes off. I can store it in my kayak trailer box. Coming around to the back of it, you can see I've got a pull cable so that I can pull that lever right there. It pulls this down and lets the XI3 drop down into place. Now, I got a trick here from Gene Jensen, the Fluke Master. You'll see this green bungee zip tied into the coils of this XI3, and that's to help this contract when I pull down on that and drop that down in the front. You can see where I've got my Anderson plug here and a cover on it. That's where I plug it in. It runs to the black pack in the back. You can see I've got a pull handle for pulling it back to me when I go to get off the water. I'm gonna go ahead and drop that down for now so we can go ahead and open up this front hatch. You can see that I've got my Fraybill net laid out on the front deck, running back to a grip back there, a bunch of Yak Attack stuff. All right, opening up my front hatch. You see I've got my Yak Power mounted to the front with a little bit of padding below it. I actually took the controller board that came out of my PWR129 with a black box mounted to it, and I will screw it in here. It's loose right now because I've been playing with some stuff. I've got some padding under it to provide a little bit of insulation from, you know, bouncing on the road and whatnot. And you can see here where I've got all my cables running from my various devices. Of course, that pull cable that goes up to the front, my power cable, that is a marine grade cable that I put Anderson ends on both to run from the back to the front. I'm not gonna stand up here, folks. I'm not gonna kid you. My legs doesn't let me, doesn't let me do this kind of stuff. And honestly, I've been standing and fishing from back here and it's plenty fun. But there are those that are building foot controlled trolling motors and all that so they can actually get up here and get a little higher. I don't need to do all that. I'm just fine back here. You can see here that there's two rails for mounting different accessories, whatever you wanna do. I've got one here. I actually run a little GoPro mount that comes up over the top of my graphs. You can see a mount here that you may not have seen before. This one is from Straight Up Mounts. It's not one of like plastic ones that a lot of the times that we use. This is a company that actually makes boat mounts, graph mounts for boats. So you can see one, I've got a double wide here, and I've got my 2 Garmin's mounted to them, and this thing is absolutely solid. It's not like using the Yak Attack ones when you're on the road. This thing will keep this solid. You can see back here that I've got T-bolts running through coming up, and then I've got regular screws coming up to mount, but this mount is solid, solid, solid. I've got 2 Garmin Ultra 2s, one for running my scope, the other one runs downside and maps. If I'm running down and side over there and I'm not scoping, I can put maps up over here. I've got the Bonafide cup holder here in the front, along with some Bubba shears and pliers. Let's go ahead and open this up and take a look on the inside. You can see I've got some Innovative Sportsman spacers in here. I can't remember what they're called, but you can hang chatterbaits. So I've actually got the 2 cross pieces that go into those slots there in the garage somewhere. But you can use that to make this into like tackle storage. You can fit 3600s this way and 3700s this way. You can also fit KVD speed bags, things like that. The other thing I like about these side pieces, you can actually take these Yak Attack track packs and they fit right in there like a champ. But you can see you've got plenty of storage come through there. You see my pass-throughs coming up for my graphs, but lots and lots of room for storage. You can actually throw a battery in there if you want to. There's just so many options that you can do whatever you want. It's pretty awesome. You can see I've installed the Wizard foot controls. Got those from Bonafide as well. Coming on back, I've got the Yak Attack track packs. I got mounts here on the side. Keep my day box here, just stuff I know I'm going to fish and throw. You can double stack those, real nice and an easy reach. I've got my rudder, stow, and deploy cables on either side, one there, one over here. You can see I've got my power, goes up to my Yak power, and then I've got my live scope cable comes out here. I've actually got an extension that runs from there to the black box, and then the cable that comes with the live scope, I can just do a quick detach and put that away if I want to. I've also got a second mounting plate over there if I need to do anything. This is also meant you can order a drawer system and a cover if you want to keep baits and whatnot under here. But be warned, if you do something like this, that drawer will not slide with stuff like this hanging out. But if you don't have anything over here, that drawer system works perfectly. Coming back, I've repurposed the same scope mount that I used on the PWR. Just a upside down graph mount from Yak Attack onto the board that comes with the Fisher mount. You can get these at Dugout Bait and Tackle. I've already talked about the seat, but you can see that I've added one of the trays. New Canoe and Bonafide both sell these to go on the side of these seats. It's totally awesome. Actually got a mount here because I can put a phone mount there and set my phone there if I want to and actually go live and stream from the side of me. Of course, you know I'm going to have my kayak cushion in Fishing with Gramps edition. This seat is absolutely wonderful. I love the rotation of it. I've already stood up and done frog fishing standing up. I've already leaned over the side, casting back off to the side of me based on me being spot locked and the way the wind was blowing. I was actually, you know, the wind was coming this way. I was spot locked, but I was fishing off this side of the kayak. It's pretty awesome. Normally these are for holding paddles, but I use it for holding my catch board. And as you can see, I've got my Fishing with Gramps edition catch board up here. And I've got the new Trash Panda ID card holders so that I can put, you know, if I'm fishing a Bassmaster like that IKA one or the Kayak Adventure series, I can put them over on that side with a piece of tape. Then I got my KBF stuff over here. But yeah, works like a champ. On top of that, I've got a rod holder. That's where I set my rod whenever I catch a fish, and I'm gonna do all the measuring and everything. Coming back to the back, I've got a couple of cons, and we'll talk about those too as we get to them. This being one of them, but we've got a resolution for it thanks to Gene Jensen. Saw Fluke Master's rigging video, and so I kind of did similar what he did. Generally, if you don't care about turning the chair around and having this extra room back here, you know, you don't have to do this, but I want the black pack all the way in the back. I run my battery inside the black pack. A lot of people will use the battery compartment that comes with it. I did not want to do that. I wanted the battery in the black pack and as far back as I could, just so if I want to spin around like this, I can. But what I did was I got foam pool noodles and cut them to length. I think it's like 19 inches in this area of the compartment. And then like it was 15 1/4 for the ones that are the two that are underneath, you know, back here. But I just set the black pack on top of those and it holds it up high and level over that little ridge right there, and it works perfectly. You can see I've got tie down mounts coming this way, and I have the ones from the back going forward to keep it from sliding back, and I got the ones from the front to the back to keep it from sliding the front. This system where you have this cross like this keeps it in place. You can see I've got 4 rod tubes on this side, 2 in the back, and then I've got 2 on the other. That'll let me carry 10 rods on the black pack itself. But the awesome thing about this, and I've already used these as well, is I can take and turn these and I can actually stack more rods right along here up to the front. Now I can't have that track pack sitting there while the rods are in there, so I can set that under the seat or up in the front. But that's awesome for me going under bridges or coming on and off the trailer. Makes it nice. But if I need to have some extra rods, because you know it's just one of them days and you got to have extras, you can do that. You can see I've got a cheap little paddle off the back mounted into the thing. Don't need a super expensive paddle when you're motorized, but you want to have something just in case. You can see I have my Visi pole. I actually just mounted it to one of the bases. I took out one of the plate screws and just, you know, did that like that to hold it in there. It doesn't stay like that, but I just pop it on when the sun's coming up and then turn it on till the light gets up. I installed the rudder that comes for the XTR. It's also used for the SS127. Works like a champ. You know, I've got the 2 pull cables that run up under my seat, and then the left and right controls. The rudder's okay. I would prefer it was wider. If I'm running an XI3 up front and I want to steer with my feet and just have it pointing straight and use my feet to steer left and right, say I'm throwing a chatterbait along a grass edge, I'd like a wider rudder. This thing is okay, but I would rather have a wider one, kind of like what comes on the autopilot, because the wind will push you around a little bit if you don't. And it's not really necessary if it's a calm day or the wind's not blowing, but if the wind is moving and you're kind of trying to fish that way, a wider rudder would help. I talked to Chad Hoover and his son Austin, and I think they're going to work on like a bolt-on something for solving that problem too, because I know Austin uses XI3, whereas Chad's more the Torpedo all the time. Let's go into my battery box. I have these reversed, these lids. So this one that opens the short stack, it opens this way. You can see I've got it filled with more pool noodles. That's to keep things from bouncing around and added protection. But you can see I've got my Dakota Lithium 135, that runs the XI3. I got the 60 amp that runs all my electronics, GoPros, things like that. I've got a battery monitor that keeps me, you know, informed where my charge is. I've got a breaker there in case, you know, for my big motor. And then I filled up the extra space with yoga blocks just to keep things from bouncing around. I've got foam on the bottom and along the sides for each one, but now I've got extra junk thrown in here too, like batteries for the Visi pole and an extra ID tag holder and stuff like that. But I don't throw a whole bunch back in here because I don't really need to. I just, like I said, this is meant to keep things from bouncing around when I'm going from ramp to ramp, from launch to launch. I will take this out when I'm doing a long drive. Say I'm going from here to Texas or here to Gunnersville, I'll take it out. But there's that. As you can see, I have both the battery cables coming out. This one runs to the Yak Power up front. This one runs to the XI3 up front. Coming farther back, I have one of my cons. I don't like having my transducer way back here. I carry a screwdriver in my short stack there, so I'll loosen this and then drop this down even when I get to the ramp and where I'm fishing. But when I'm moving around, I leave it up like this because I just know the day that I forget to put that up, I'm going to walk around the back of this kayak and hit it with my leg and break that mount. So I just leave it in the stowed position. The other disadvantage is being 10 feet behind your graph. When you mark a waypoint, that waypoint is right here. When you touch the button up there, it's marking it back here. It's not marking it up there where you're sitting, where you think it is. So if you mark a brush pile or a ledge and then you turn around and try to come back to it, you're going to be about 10 feet off. Now, if you're down inside imaging kind of guy, that's a pain in the butt. One of the ways you can solve that, there's 2 different ways. You can get one of the pucks that most of the graph companies make, and you can mount it back here so that when you hit that waypoint, it's marking it where the transducer is, right? Because if you hit that waypoint, the way this is up right now, the GPS unit is in the unit up there, not in this transducer. So when you mark a waypoint, you're actually marking it 10 feet ahead of where it's actually at. So you're not precise. So you can solve that, like I said, with a puck that will then say, hey, the GPS location is coming from this spot, not up there on the graph. The other way you can do it is you get a trolling motor that has a transducer built into it, say a Garmin Kraken or a Garmin, you know, if you're running Garmin, say the Kraken or the other one that's got the transducer built into it. Plus that'll give you the speed of, say, like an NK300. It's a whole lot faster. But I already had the XI3, so if I wanted precision and I'm a down and side imaging guy, I could put a puck here. So why didn't I? Well, I've got forward facing. If I get within 10 feet of wherever it was I thought I was, I can turn around, I can back up, I can drop the forward facing in, and then I can see whatever that structure was. Not structure. I always say structure. Structure is points, ridges, humps, drop-offs. Cover is what I'm talking about. A brush pile, a log, rock pile. That's cover. Things that bass hide around. Structure are, you know, definitions in the bottom. I always mix that up. But yeah, like I said, a couple of different ways to fix it. Put a puck back here, use forward facing, or get a trolling motor up front that's got the transducer built in, because I don't like this back here. Just because. That's one thing I miss about my PWR, is it's right up there under where my graphs are. But that being said, at least there are solutions for it. This is a big, wide kayak, as you can see, but it is absolutely stable. It seems like every time I've been in the water this year so far, the wind has been absolutely crazy, but not once, not ever, not yet have I ever felt not safe. I've actually been more stable in this than sometimes even in my boat, and I've got an aluminum boat that's 18 foot long. But yeah, this thing, because it sits closer to the water, it absolutely has been fantastic. And again, you can see on this side I've got 4 more rod holders and the same crossing pattern setup. Very nice. Plenty of rail to install any kind of accessories that you want. If you're a Torpedo or a Newport person, plenty of rail to put your controller on wherever you want it. I mean, this thing is absolutely fantastic. Now here's what's funny. I'm not a guy who stands and fishes. I don't bank fish anymore because my knees really can't take the pressure. But I'll tell you what, there were days when I was on the water where I was literally standing and fishing for an hour at a time, because honestly, the gentle buffering of the kayak in the water versus me standing on, say, a bank or on concrete was actually, I'd say, therapeutic for my knee. I mean, it was pretty amazing. But never once did I feel like I was going to slip or fall out of the kayak. Even in dealing with the wind that we had, I'm telling you, if you're looking for a big water kayak, seriously, this is one of the ones you should check out. We know that there's the New Canoe Unlimited. You've got the Hobies, you've got the Titan X, all kinds of big kayak options. But for riggability, ease of use, and I mean comfort and standing, it is big. I will say that. If you have to unload it and load it from your trailer or truck, it's heavy. You definitely want a cart like I've got, or you want to build a kayak cart. You don't want to try to be manhandling this and dragging it around. It is just not one of those. It's truly, for me, a boat that you put on a trailer. Just being honest. That's just save yourself the time. The PWR129 is the next best alternative down if you're kind of looking for the do everything kayak, fishing lakes, fishing rivers, being able to put the Boondocks wheels on them. You might be able to put those on here, I don't know. This is a big kayak. But if you want something that's a kayak that's very boat-like, I'm telling you, this is better than any bass buggy, better than any John boat that you'll ever get into. But I call this my scoping boat because that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna have the XI3 on it. I'm gonna have my scope and double graphs and all that stuff. It is my best of the best. Like you guys know, I'm building up towards retirement. And then I've got my PWR 129 with the NK300 on it for something if I'm going to be not spot locking, not offshore fishing. Say it's this time of year where I'm beating the banks, throwing a chatterbait along grass edges, and I really got to move around the water fast. That's perfect. Or fishing in those rivers, the White River, the Susquehanna, going up to Minnesota or Wisconsin, those kind of things, that PWR 129. For me, I thought about getting an RVR, but hey, I drug that PWR through every creek and river I fished in last year, and it worked out for me, so it was perfect. Now, if you want to see a first look and walk around of my brand new Fish Texas kayak trailer, the T-Max that hauls both this XTR and the PWR at the same time, I'll drop a link to that right up here. Until next time, get outside when you can and make some memories. One cast at a time.